25, Genesis 25:19. And these are the generation of Isaac, Abraham, sons of Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Pandan, Amar, the sister of Laban, the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord by his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him. And Rebekah, his wife, conceived, and the children struggled together within her. And she said, It is be so. Why am I trust? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people. And the elder shall serve the younger. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, because there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red all over like an hairy garment. And they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out. His hand took hold of Esau, and his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was there 80 years old when she bare him. And the boys grew, and then Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in the tent. And Isaac loved Esau.
I think that's it. Okay. I guess the topic is on, who is Israel, and traits befitting of Israel, right? So going from Genesis 25, we can see where Israel was like prophetically being manifested to come into the world, right? So it's showing from Isaac's generation, which is Abraham's son, and we know based on verse 20, it's saying, and Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, right? And the daughter of Bethuel of Syrian, of Padamaran, sister to Laban, right? And verse 21 is saying that Isaac entreated Yahweh for his wife because she was barren, right? And we know the same thing happened to, Abraham in the sense, right? So Abraham also had a wife, and in a sense, the Most High already gave him, a foretelling. I gave him a prophecy that in his son, the entire nation or the entire world shall be blessed in his son, right? And he's gonna give him the land of Canaan to be his own. And further down the line, he told Abraham that Sarah was gonna be the one to give him the son to fulfill this prophecy, right? So we see, even though he prophesied to Abraham, Sarah was still barren until maybe she was 90 years old, which is like she having Isaac was like a blessing, right? We can see the power of the Most High working in them, right? Same thing here with Isaac. He also had the same problem because she was barren, so he entreated the Lord for her, and she did it. The Most High was entreated of him, and he gave Rebekah conception, right? So based on that, we can look at a couple of verses, right? Genesis 11 verse 30.
Yeah, but go further. Laban is the same man that worked Jacob for 14 years, right?
Yeah, man.
But then that's his uncle.
Yeah.
And then he married his cousin. Because the two daughters was Laban's children. So, how do we understand that kind of cousin marrying the cousin. That was a love back then.
That was, I guess
It was
that,
norm.
I guess that was normal. It was normal.
It was a normal thing back then. Man.
Where you pulling this? Where you seeing this? Where this coming from?
But you know, Laban is the one that worked Jacob for 14 years.
Yeah, man.
For to give him Rachel.
Yeah, man.
Because
So,
he wanted to marry Rachel with one he loved, right?
yeah, man.
And
So,
then he gave her the older daughter, which is what was her name?
Laban, which is Leah.
Yeah.
Leah.
Mm-hmm.
And Leah's one of ten kids, then, no?
But I have 6. She had 6 of them.
Six.
She had 6 from herself and 2 from the concubine. So she had 8 in all, basically.
Right, and then he had an rest with Rachel and later days.
So these are the four women that Isaac with Jacob.
Yeah. This is
So that's what formed the
no.
No.
Well, this Laban was the one who gave
Jacob.
Laban is a-
daughters.
Laban's sister married Jacob,
Mm-hmm.
and she gave Jacob his son.
Right.
Basically,
Right. So out of these four, I'm assuming there's 4 people.
these
women,
4 daughters, they married Isaac's son.
And
Jacob.
they formed the 12 tribes.
Yeah.
These 4.
Mhm.
Out of these 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just trying to tie them back. Say these are
Yeah.
all sisters and brothers and never and nieces.
Yeah, man.
And they're from different nations.
I
No,
think-
the same. They
but Israel, remember, I'm trying to show you where Israel come from. So,
Yeah.
so Israel was just coming on the scene. So
Right.
there's no Israel, so they must
Right.
be from other nations
Right.
who existed before
Right.
Israel.
They were
And the
there.
women are from other nations.
They have to be from other nations because
Yeah.
Israel was just coming on the scene. So
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
Israel, so there must be other nations, right?
So the women are from other nations.
Rebecca,
Jacob-
Rebecca,
You keep
Jacob-
saying-
Rebecca and Leah are not from other nations.
no, Rebecca.
Yeah.
That's
Their concubines were.
Rebecca is from
The
she's Syrian.
Okay, we can do it.
Rebecca is Syrian,
Yeah. Okay. Right.
right? And that's who Isaac have his 2 boy with.
Right. Okay. And the Syrians are the nation.
Yeah, so they come from but a Syrian woman.
Yeah. That's other nation.
And Isaac is Abraham.
Yeah, Isaac the Syrian.
Abraham's
Isaac is a Syrian too. They're all Syrian.
Isaac is a Syrian.
Abraham the Syrian too. Isaac the Syrian. That's where
Isaac
they
is
all
a-
come from.
That's where I come from.
Isaac is a Syrian.
And his own time most side
Well,
changed.
Are they
Well, we could have stick to this a bit.
Huh?
We could have stick to this a bit.
Okay.
So I guess I was trying to say, like, if you look based on Israel conception, there's always a sense where the Most High always withhold the kids from them to a certain point where they depend on the Most High to give them the kid, and when the Most High give them, it's like he's actually doing a miracle.
Okay.
So we see that with Isaac in this chapter, when they was given Esau and Jacob, and we see it with Abraham when he was given Isaac, and we also see it with Rachel when he was given Joseph, right? For the first time. So we see a common theme against all these 4 fathers. So that would say is a trait befitting Israel, and it's going down through a line. A lot of other chapter, in Samuel with Manoah.
You're trying to say these all these births was like a miracle birth.
Well, at some time Most High withheld it, and the Most High gave it to them. So when he gave it, you know that there's some power out there. Is
That's what I'm
actually
saying. So
was working.
like it was not a regular birth.
Yeah.
It's like just a spiritual thing.
Basically,
Yeah.
and basically, same thing with Luke and with Zechariah, right? So they all have similar things. Like they depend and hope on the Lord, and then the
Yes.
Most High come true for them.
In
So that's
Zechariah,
one.
he had John, right?
Mhm.
And it been for our kids, right?
Basically.
Okay. All right.
So then, and we all see basically in this chapter, she was entreated as she conceived, right?
Mhm.
And I guess he's saying verse 22, and he's saying, and the children chuckled together within her, right? And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the hour, right? So, and I guess, as somebody was saying, she went to inquire. I guess in Judges, they were saying when somebody go to inquire, they want to go see the prophet, right? Or
Over man.
I guess the prophet or a seer.
Yes.
But I guess in her time, right, when she was pregnant, there was a lot of forefathers who were still alive. Like in Isaac's time when he was pregnant, I think Abraham was still alive, and I think Shem also was still alive, right? So I guess at the same time, she had first-hand account with person who actually had knowledge about the Most High, right?
Okay.
So I guess she went to go inquire, and I guess this is what they told her, like,
This is what's going on in the system.
yeah, and he said, and Yahweh said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's saying, 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowel, right?
Yes.
And he's saying, and the people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. So then that's a trait we see. He said that you have 2 nations in your womb, right?
Mhm.
Basically. There were 2 manner of people are going to be separated from that bow, and 2 nations. So he's saying, one of them say Esau is the end of the world, right? Basically.
Mhm.
And Jacob is the beginning of it. So when he's saying 2 manner of people shall be separated, he's saying like there's gonna be one who's gonna be facing this current age we are living in, and the next person is gonna be the manner of what the next age coming is gonna be, and is gonna represent. So like I guess Jacob would be the farmer, or Esau would be the farmer, and then
Israel.
Israel would be, or Jacob would be
They come.
the latter,
Mhm.
the world coming to him, right? So basically, this is a prophecy we are yet to see fulfilled. So that's still a trait pertaining to Israel. It's always a prophecy,
Mhm.
whether it's in the play or whether it's going to be happening soon or whether it's already happened.
Right.
So that's one trait about Israel. We can see from their birth. Their birth is something supernatural or unnatural to the extent of what happened to the 4 mothers, them, right? So 24 now, and you were saying, the 24 now, saying, verse 24, read it. Yeah.
24.
Mhm.
And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. And the first came out was red all over, like an hairy garment. And they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob.
Mhm.
And Isaac was 80 years old when she bare him.
Okay. Verse 24 said, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, right? It said, and the first came out red all over, like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau, basically. So we know that Esau came out red, and he came out hairy, basically, you know what I mean? And they call his name Esau. But the main thing is that it's about Israel, right? And after that, it's saying, came out his brother, and his brother took hold on Esau's heel. So it's already showing another attribute of Jacob, right? So he's actually holding his brother's heel. So you probably see his brother's trying to like go to the light, or he's trying to like
Leave him behind.
leave him behind. So he's trying to like stop planning. He's like, hey, you cannot go. Like he's trying to like hold him back or something, right? Whatever he was trying to do, he was trying to prevent him from
Going.
achieving it, basically, right? So that's why they call his name Jacob. So in a sense, Jacob just means, I guess, supplanter, or some might say heel grabber, right? Some might say supplanter or heel grabber. So in a sense, the first name that tied to Jacob was supplanter, heel grabber. So end of the day, he's saying he's going to overcome. He's going to overcome somebody or something eventually through his life, because if he's below, he cannot overcome or supplant somebody who's below you. So end of the day, he's going to overcome.
Because it's below God coming up, right?
In that I'm an example, right?
Yeah.
But even whether it might be a spiritual overcome or it might be a physical, you know what I mean? It's all in the work same way.
But everything is more physical, more spiritual than physical.
I would say it has to do a bit about, I guess, going through the tribes then, like different sons might exhibit different traits at this. Some might exhibit it spiritually, and some might do it on a more physical level, right?
Mhm.
So we can see the same idea going through a scripture in different ways. It's showing itself basically. So he's saying, verse 26 is saying, and
after
he grabbed his heel. Hold on.
came his brother house, and Esau took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob.
Mhm.
And Isaac was 80 years old.
Yeah.
And she grew up then.
Okay. Where was that? I was gonna check out Hosea 12 verse 3, and that's gonna be like a problem.
Isaiah.
Hosea 12 verse 3. Hosea. I can read this to you.
Okay, go ahead. Isaiah.
This is like Hosea 12 verse 3. It's just trying to show you basically the power or who is Israel, right? Or what Israel represents basically. He's saying, this is Hosea 12, and I'm going to start from verse 2. He's saying, the Lord also had a controversy with Judah and will punish Jacob according to his way, according to his doings, will he recompense him. He took his brother by the heel in the womb, and by his strength he had power with God, right? Hosea is saying, yeah, he had power over the angel and prevailed. He wept and made supplication before him, and he found him in Bethel. So he's saying he took his brother by the heel. So he's saying even when he was in the womb, he had power with God. So that's actually a part of his name, but over here we can see they name him Jacob. They never name him Israel at this point yet.
No, I didn't get you.
But I guess Hosea is showing that he had the quality of being Israel from the womb, because he had the power with God. He was trying to like hold back Esau, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one understanding of it, and it's going to be Genesis 32, verse 20. Genesis 32, verse
So
28.
his Hosea, what verse was that again?
Genesis 32 verse what?
28.
What's
That was Hosea, Hosea, 12, verse 3.
12 verse 3.
And you said Genesis 32, what here?
32,
32, what?
verse 28.
28. Okay. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince, as thou poor with the Most High, and with men, and as prevailed.
Yeah, so this is a story about the thing that Hosea is saying. So from, he was in his youth, he was actually prevailing over his brother, because he's saying that he took his brother heel from the womb, and he had power with God.
Mm-hmm.
Because God also gave him the prophecy, or gave Rebecca the prophecy from before, saying the elder shall serve the younger, right?
So she knew that.
So from those times, Jacob already had power with God. So that's a trait we already have from before he was even born. The Most High already chosen him, right? So that's something we are Israel. We were Israel are. We are chosen. We have all these traits and the prophecy and all those things. The miracle always pertain to us, right?
What's the verse again? I know you probably said it. I'm gonna call it out again.
Hosea.
Yeah.
Hosea 12:3.
Yeah, I got that one. The other one that you read after.
Oh, that's
Genesis
32,
32, 28.
28.
Ezekiel, right?
No,
Genesis.
Genesis.
Okay, Genesis.
Yeah, so I guess he's showing that in 26, Jacob is saying we're going to supplant her. So even when he come out last, he's gonna
Okay.
come the first.
Yeah,
He's gonna
yeah.
become. You know what I mean? So even though you're at the bottom, we're gonna come on top. So
But that's why the mom loved Esau, because she knew that eventually
No, the mom loved Jacob, right?
no, she loved did she love?
Jacob, yeah. Mom loves Jacob, and the father loves Esau.
Yeah,
Oh,
Esau.
okay, yeah.
Esau. Yeah,
Okay.
Isaac loved Esau,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess God already loved Jacob, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess 27, and they say, right? 27, they say, and the boys grew, right? Esau was a cunning hunter, right?
Mm-hmm.
A man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now they give us two understanding of Esau and Jacob. So they said Jacob was a knowing. They said Esau was a acknowledged, right? Or acknowledged man of the field.
Mm-hmm.
And give you Genesis 2 verse 5.
Genesis 2 verse 5.
Mm-hmm.
Two 5. And every plant of the field before it was in the herd, and every herb of the field before it grew. And for the Most High had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was no man to tire the earth ground.
Okay, they give me verse 19.
That is it, 19 and same one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's the Genesis word, you know.
Genesis 2
Genesis
verse 5.
2, 5.
19.
5, then you have 19. Okay. And Genesis 19, 2:19. And out of the ground the Most High formed every beast, the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof.
So just my instance is saying that Esau was a man of the field, was a cunning hunter, right? He was a man of the field. And over here they say that in Genesis 1, and said every plant of the field before it was in the earth, right? And every field before it grew, for Yahweh had no color to rain upon the earth, and there was no man to till the ground. So at this point there was no man, and he's saying in verse 19 now, he said, out of the ground Yahweh farmed every beast of the field and every fowl of the year and brought them unto Adam, or the man right to see what he would call him. Whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was their name. So we see where this Adam was actually, before there was no man, and then he was farmed, and then everything from the field, everything in the field was come to him. So he was actually Lord over everything from the field, basically. Adam, basically, right? And give me now Genesis 4:8. So there was nothing in the field, and then we can know where farm Adam, and then he farmed everything and bring it to Adam, right? So Genesis 4:8.
Okay.
I guess I'm just trying to show, I guess, my understanding of what Esau being a man of the field is like.
4:8, Genesis 4:8. And Cain talked with Abel, his brother. And it came to pass when they were in the field that Cain rose up against Abel, his brother, and slew him.
So I guess this is a trait now. I guess this is a trait of Esau now, right? Because he's a man of the field. So I guess when he's in the field, he has power, right? So I'm there in the field. I guess Cain is doing his thing, but I guess when they're in the field, that's when he has the power to actually go against his brother. So that's where his strength is. He's saying Esau is a cunning hunter.
So it's coming from way back then.
So he's showing you what it means like to be a man of the field, right? So he's carrying those same
traits.
Those same traits. I'm going to say this one. Deuteronomy 25 is giving the similar traits, right? He's saying like 22 verse 5. It's giving a similar understanding of what being a man of the field, right? And
Deuteronomy 25.
22 verse 5.
22 verse.
I guess he's saying that he's showing that like Esau
Deuteronomy
was really
22:5.
cunning, so he wasn't just like a regular man of the field, right?
The woman shall not wear that which
Deuteronomy 22.
22:5 is that?
Deuteronomy 22 verse 5.
That's what it said, right?
Yeah, that's what you have.
Yes, woman shall not wear that which is pertained unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman garment for her. 22:5. Deuteronomy.
Yeah, I was trying to.
No, you're right. Yeah, I'm sure.
No, I think you're right.
I am wrong. No, I'm wrong.
No, you are right. But I have the wrong one here. I'm trying to find the one where it said if a man find a woman lying in the field, right, and then she cries out.
That was a 22 what?
22:5. No, you are correct, but I think I put the wrong verse down.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to explain what it means to be a man in the field, right? So that verse should say if a man find a woman, if you find her in the field, like you lay with her, and she cries out, not then. I guess it's her fault, right? Because she never cried out. I guess if he cries out, they're just showing you being a person in the field, it means that you're always prone to some type of folly, right? That's what it's trying to show me. But in the same verse, it's saying, and it's saying what? And it's saying, and Jacob was a plain man. That is saying he was a perfect man, right? Like he was an upright man, and he was dwelling in tents. So they're showing you he's the very counter of Esau. So all those things I'm showing you about what Esau was doing, Jacob should be doing the opposite of it, basically. 22:25.
Okay.
So yeah, that was actually.
If a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only one that lay with her shall die.
Yeah, so I was just trying to show what it's like for Esau to be a cunning hunter, a man of the field, right? All this stuff, like to me, he knows how to exploit, you know what I mean? And that's why he's showing that that Jacob was a plain man, and that plain man is saying he was a perfect man, or he was an upright man, right? Or he was undefiled. So he was righteous in the most sight, right? And he was dwelling in tents, basically. So I guess that's a good requirement for somebody who's righteous. So actually, I guess if you're in tents, you're taking notes, you're probably studying, you're spending more time with the Most High, right? Because enough of these guys growing up, they had enough of their forefathers to like give them first hand. So they probably have direct knowledge to how the flood happened, what happened from the flood up to them, right? Because they had like someone like Shem. Jacob was probably 15 years old when Shem died, right? Basically, Noah, Abraham himself was probably he lived at least 50 years with somebody first guys them who came off the flood ship, basically. So they had first hand experience with
You mean Abraham?
yeah, Abraham had first experience with like Shem, so they know enough of the thing them somebody wouldn't know unless word of mouth, and they had direct contact from somebody who lived through it, right?
So they give you hands on.
Yeah. So like Jacob was probably taking all his knowledge basically, right? So he was a plain man dwelling in tents, basically, right? And I guess I was gonna pull up Hebrews 11 verse 9. Hebrews 11 verse 9.
Why can't stand how this one match up with what you got already on 22, 25?
Hebrew 11, verse 9.
22, 25?
Yeah, you went
Yeah, that's what I'm going to feel.
Oh, Deuteronomy? No, because okay, it matches up because
What you want?
Hebrews 11 verse 9. What I'm going to explain to you, it matches up because it was saying Esau, right, was a cunning hunter.
Yeah.
So he's saying he was an acknowledged hunter, right? Like people, like they know he's a hunter, and he's saying he was a man after steal. You know what I mean? So I was showing you about person who normally have to steal, what their activities normally entail.
And what they intend to do.
Know what I mean?
about that.
So I was showing you say if a man find a girl in the field, that's a negative activity. He was saying the devil, he was saying the serpent was most of all the beasts of the field. So he's showing you their nature, right?
Well, okay.
So he was showing you the nature about, so he was showing you, Esau was a cunning hunter man of the field, so he's showing you more of what his nature is going to be like.
Right. So
And he's saying,
that one's similar to, that's an example to show his nature.
well, I'm trying to show traits who is Israel. So to say you are Israel, you should be showing certain traits, you know what I mean?
Right, gotcha.
Or we should be expecting to be showing certain traits, you know what I mean? But the one I was showing was for Esau. But the one I'm showing for Jacob was that he was a plain man, he was a perfect man based on the scripture, as opposed to what Esau was doing, right?
Right.
And Jacob was dwelling in tents, but he said that Esau probably loved steal. So Jacob probably has cattle, basically.
In my intention is to kill. They love to hunt.
And coming.
Anybody like to hunt, they will kill anything because hunting is killing.
Yeah.
You can't get it because you're going for food.
Yeah, that's
You know. So okay.
Okay, read Hebrews 11 verse 9.
Hebrew 11, 9. By faith he sojourned in the land of promise, as a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob. Let the heirs with him of the same promises.
Okay. So in our Hebrews it's saying, right, by faith he sojourned in the land of promise, right? As in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Jacob, with Isaac and Jacob, right? So it's showing you like he's saying that Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents, right? And it's showing that by faith he sojourned in the land in a strange country dwelling in tents. So I'm deriving from these two verses that to be a perfect man and he's dwelling in tents, that means that he's doing it by faith at the most time, right? So Jacob was a man who, I guess, rely on faith or believe on what he's hearing from his father, he's hearing from his grandfather and from his great grandfather, right? That's what he's really relying on and gravitating toward to. While Esau now might be relying on his own strength and his own power, right? And we know at this point the Most High never spoke with Jacob as yet, right?
Right.
So he's just hearing word of mouth from his predecessor, basically.
So again, Hebrew is what's the verse?
Hebrews 11 verse 9.
11.
So yeah, by faith he was dwelling in tents. So I guess it's a good thing to be dwelling in tents. That's what I'm trying to, I guess, find out. I guess we can probably go to, I guess, Genesis 18. I'm just trying to find Genesis 18. Genesis 18, verse 19. I guess we can start to read from. Yeah, I guess we finished with the other one. I start to read from Genesis 18 and start to read from 17.
Genesis 18, 17.
17 to 19. Yeah.
And the Most High said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do? seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all in the nation of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Most High, to do justice and judgment, that the Most High may bring upon Abraham that which he had spoken of him.
Mhm. I guess I'll just pull up this verse just to show, I guess, what is required of Israel in a sense, right? Or what should be,
Yeah.
or what should be one of our doing, basically, right? So from, as I'm saying, Israel is always about, I guess, prophecy, and it's not. Israelite is not normal for sure, man. Anything they are getting the verse, they're getting the verse supernaturally. If they're getting the foot, then they get supernatural good, right? So we're not just living a normal life as everybody sometime, right?
Mhm.
So he's saying, for I know him that he will command his children, right, and keep his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the hour to do justice and judgment, and that the hour may bring upon Abraham that which he has spoken. So this should be our main goal as Israel, right? And that's why I'm trying to show you. He said, you know that Abraham is going to command his children and his household. I know that Abraham lived to see Isaac, lived to see Jacob. He lived to see most of Jacob's son.
Mhm.
I mean, I think Abraham died when Joseph was 10 years old. Know what I mean?
Okay.
So I think Abraham died when Joseph was 10 years old. So Abraham and Joseph was the second to last son of Jacob. So Abraham, in a sense, could tell all Jacob's 11 sons. Because none of them were already big man, right? Based on when he had Joseph. So he could have given them first and command, first and laws, first and experience
Right.
with the Most High.
So they get endured from Abraham.
Basically.
Mhm.
And Abraham already got direct from people before him.
Right, because he knew
Because he knew Shem,
who
basically.
was Abraham's father again?
Terah.
Terah. And he was on Noah's son, right?
No.
Oh,
Noah's son was Shem.
yeah.
And he
My
died.
grandson.
So Terah is way down the line. Way.
Yeah.
Terah is there. And yeah. Abraham is like maybe 24th
Generation from up there.
from them.
So clarification, creation, you're saying that Abraham was around long enough to see Jacob's son and children?
Children.
Yeah,
So
Jacob.
he's a lot, what was around to maybe give them wisdom or something like that?
Definitely. That's why he said, Pharaoh, know that he will command his children and his household after him.
Right.
So he was telling Isaac, and he was telling Jacob,
Yeah.
and he was telling Jacob's sons also.
Yeah.
So each of them were getting the command to keep the Most High law, right?
Okay.
So they had direct confirmation about who God is and his power and his greatness from Abraham,
Oh,
right?
okay, I see. Yeah.
So even when they went into Egypt,
Mhm.
none of them should have knowledge of the Most High already.
Right.
Not from Jacob, but from Abraham and from Isaac, because Isaac died even further down from Abraham, right? So they have enough knowledge about the Most High.
Okay, so
basically, you know what I mean?
Isaac kind of died maybe a few years away from Abraham. Like in other words, he eventually died not 2 years apart from Abraham. You think?
Well, Isaac died more or less. So Isaac died around nearly 90 years from Abraham.
Oh, okay.
90 years from Abraham, but it's just a lot of Israel already have first hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm saying and the main thing the most I was saying is going to command Abraham to tell Israel to keep his commandments. So one of Israel trait is to keep the most commandment, right?
Right.
So if we are keeping his commandment, then all of those blessings we see where the prophecy, where even our parents who have those special babies, time come grace, like when you depend on the Most High and the Most High actually bless you, you actually know the power and you actually feel it, right? So all of those things he's saying, if we keep his commandment, we won't lack those basically, right? So even though you're in want, he'll give you or need it when the time comes. So, but the main fact is that we have to keep his commandment so he can bring to pass that which he promised to Abraham, you know what I mean?
Keep promise to Abraham.
Yeah, so The whole Israel is that we can fulfill the Most High promise to Abraham. That's our whole plan basically. And give me Deuteronomy 11 verse 19.
Deuteronomy 11:19.
Mm-hmm. Deuteronomy 11 verse 19. It's just saying the same thing, right? So the same thing which he told Abraham, right? And Abraham told most of Jacob's kids, basically. He's saying the same thing to those who are in the wilderness. He's saying, and you shall teach your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thine house, and upon thy gates, that your days be multiplied, and the days of your children in the land, which Yahweh swear unto your fathers to give them of the days of heaven upon the earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing you say, just keep these laws that I'm giving to you, because that's why I made it. That's your nature, you know what I mean? That's your spirit, that's one of your traits to keep this law. So when you're keeping this law, I can do wonders for you, basically, right?
Yeah.
But I won't have no reason to destroy you.
Right.
I always want to protect us, but we find ways to make him destroy us, basically, right? So that's the whole purpose of Israel, so we can be the vessel to do the Most High work, right?
Yes.
And that's it.
Okay.
And give me the next one again. It's going to be Deuteronomy 6, verse 6.
6:6, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's the devil number, right?
So them say,
Mm-hmm.
so I give us 6 days of work. Some people don't want to work and they can.
Okay, 6 days a week, okay. 6:6, Deuteronomy.
Mm-hmm.
And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
Mm-hmm. So basically, this is the next thing. So from Abraham time, he's saying, he came to Abraham because he knows Abraham is going to command his children to do these things. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we know that Abraham had a chance to tell us most of our forefathers. You know what I mean? And going down through the line, he's saying you must still pass it down to your children, So it's not only written, but it's also like a verbal communication, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we all know that the main thing about Israel is to keep the commandments and to keep what the Most High said to get any blessing which He has for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's one trait of Israel. Now, I mean, to keep
That's
the
from Jacob's
High
side.
commandment, basically. So we're gonna go to Genesis 28 now.
Genesis 28.
Genesis 28. We're gonna start from verse 12.
Genesis 28, 12.
Mm-hmm.
And he
12 to 17.
dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached the heaven. And behold, the angel of God ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Most High stood above it, and said, I am the Most High of Abraham, thy father, and thy Most High of Isaac. The land whereon thou liest, to be will I give it, and sow seed. And thy seed shall be the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west and to the east, and to the north and to the south. And in thy seed shall all the families of thy earth be blessed. And behold, I am thee, and I will keep thee in all places whither thou goest, and will bring thee again into the land. For I will not leave thee until I have done that which I have spoken to thee. And Jacob awakened out of his sleep, and he said, surely the Most High is in this place, and I knew it not. And he was afraid and said, oh, dreadful is this place. This is none other but the house of the Most High. and this is the gate of heaven. And Jacob rose up early in the morning and took the stone that he had put for his pillow.
Yeah, I think that's it.
That's it.
So I guess Genesis 28, verse 12 to 17, I guess it's showing. So this is basically Jacob's first experience, our first talking, some understanding with God, right?
Mhm.
He said, and he dreamed it, and behold, God was set up on the earth. So we know that's a regular trait in Israel, right? They get dream, like Most High talks to them in dreams. So,
Right.
so you can tell when you're walking with the Most High and you're keeping His commandment, He's gonna probably give you a dream. He's gonna speak with you through dream, whatever the case might be, right? So that's a trait we have in Israel. So if you are getting dreams, if you're keeping the commandment and He's giving a dream, then for sure you know that yes, you are Israelite, right? Because that's a trait we know about, right? And he dreamed, and a ladder was set up on the earth, right? The top of it reached to heaven, right? And behold, the angel of the hour descending upon it. In verse 13, and behold, the hour stood above it and said, I, the Lord God of Abraham, thy father, and the God of Isaac, right?
Mhm.
The land whereon thou liest to thee will I give it. So basically verse 13, he's telling Jacob here who he made. He's saying, I am the Lord God. So he's giving him his name, right? But I guess Jacob was like so paranoid, he never really know what to do. Because further down you see he asking him like, what's your name?
Mhm.
What I mean? And then he's telling him that I am the God of your father, right? God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the land wherein thou liest to thee will I give it. So the same thing he told Abraham is going to give it to his seed. You know what I mean? The promised seed. So Israel is always the promised one. Now I mean, anything with Israel have to be like prophecy, our promise, our spirituality, our foretelling, our prophetic, right? Like it's not a normal life. So same thing he promised to Abraham, the same thing he's promising to Jacob now, right? And he's saying to these seed will I give it, basically. And he said, and thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. So this is blessed of Israel upon him. So in Jacob's seed, which is Israel, the entire nation is going to be blessed, right? So if we do good, and if we keep His commandment, now automatically we're going to bring blessing of the Most High and all the nations around us. You know what I mean? Because nations around us are going to have to keep the laws too, and it cannot be a terror, and it cannot be a threat to us, nor a snare, because we are keeping the Most High commandment.
Right.
But as soon as we deviate from who is Israel or what our rules are, then they can become a trap or become a snare unto us, because we're not keeping the commandments, so there's no protection over Israel, right?
Right.
So that's why he's saying, and thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth. So sure, when you're keeping the commandment, it's going to enlarge us, right? But at the same time, when we're not keeping the commandment, it's going to spread us and scatter us, you know what I mean? So even though we are large, we're going to be few in numbers, because we are all over the place.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's always best to keep the commandment, and we are one, and we are not keeping it, and we are scattered, basically, right? In verse 15 is saying, and behold, I am with thee, and will keep thee in all places whither thou goest. Right? I will bring thee again into this land. So that's a promise he's telling Jacob.
They will keep unto the end.
He said, I'm going to be with you till the end, and I'm going to bring you again to this land. So Jacob knows, whenever he sees him come back again to this land, he knows that the Most High make him a promise, and he delivered, right? And he's looking for a confirmation now. That's the next spirit of Israel, the prophecy. They're going to prophesy, they're going to look for it to come true, basically. So I guess let's give me Genesis 31, verse 1 and 13. Yeah, verse
31.
Can I read one first?
Okay. Jacob leave Laban. And he heard the word of Laban's son, saying, Jacob had taken away all that was our father, and of that which was our father had begotten all this glory.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said 13,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, number 13.
and I am the Most High of Bethel, where thou anointed the pillar, and where thou bowed a bow unto me. Now arise, get thee out from this land, and return unto the land of thy kindred.
Okay. So I guess here so we are seeing after the so we are seeing after the Most High.
Well, if it doesn't establish,
Okay. I know. So we are seeing we're after the Most High, right? So basically we are seeing based on 20 verse.
yeah. You can do
Yeah,
it.
man. Before we eat it, okay. Okay then.
Okay.
Okay, so based on Genesis 28:15, right, we see where the Most High is showing to Jacob his power basically, right? He says, I'm going to be with you and I will bring thee again into this land, for I will not leave thee until I have done that which I have spoken to thee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's telling him, I'm going to always be with you, you know what I mean?
No matter what.
So we know when he went to Laban, right,
Mm-hmm.
the Most High, I wouldn't say appeared to him, but the Most High helped him because all the flocks and that was Laban flock, the Most High eventually, through jumping, they became Laban Jacob flock, right?
But it did not that he had a dream about when if you
Yeah.
when they have a drink water if
If you put some type of
strip
stick before them or something,
and kind of scare them, then
they
all
become
the
really shady.
babies might turn colors and that sort of thing. But what are you doing that time? You good? Okay.
So basically he's saying, so basically we know that he gave him his commandment,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, I'm going to be with you. But and when he went into to Laban,
Mm-hmm.
we see that all the Most High make him prosperous. You know what I mean, and he built him up. He gives him cattle and he gives him flocks, and he leave with a great multitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we know that Laban and his sons are actually talking negative against him because I guess they're envying him now because he's getting so much, right? Because the Most High is blessing him. So and that's why the Most High, Genesis 31 verse 13, the Most High is saying,
I am.
Most High 13 is saying, I'm going to read it. And Genesis 31 verse starting from 11 is saying, and the angel of God had spoken unto me in a dream and said, Jacob. And I said, here I am. And he said, lift up thine eyes and see all the rams which leap upon the cattle are ring straight, right? Speckled and grizzled. For I have seen all that Laban doeth unto thee. You see, the Most High is blessing him because he's not doing anything wrong. He's keeping the commandment and he's being truthful.
Mm-hmm.
The Most High is blessing him even though the guy is trying to like hurt him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we as Israel should do. We mustn't make negativity make us do bad. You know what I mean? We should just keep doing good
Right.
and just please the Most High, right? He'll protect us.
Mm-hmm.
So you see here, he's telling him all the cattle them are ring straight and speckled and grizzled, right? For I have seen all Laban do it unto thee. So he's trying to like pay back for good. So he's saying, I the God of Bethel, where thou anointest the pillar and where thou bowest a bow unto me. And he said, now arise and get thee out from this land and return unto the land of thy kindred.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's trying to like perform the vow and tell him, I'm going to bring you back out of this place safe, right? So,
Right.
and we can know that Jacob have no problem. He has problem with Laban. He has problem when he's leaving because Esau is waiting on him. So he has a lot of problem around him. So he didn't need the Most High protection more than ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Esau is waiting on him.
Yeah. Well, that's what he's.
Yeah.
Well, I guess he ran away from Esau to begin with. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So now he's trying to go back home. So he still has that
Fear.
feeling, that fear. That, oh man, he might be still carrying vengeance for me. I carrying feeling.
I'm away from the Yes.
So he still has that fear in him, same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, let me read Genesis 32, verse 31. I'm gonna read Genesis 32. Okay, this going to be Genesis 32, verse 23 to 31. I'm going to read it first.
Okay.
This is Genesis 32, verse 23 to 31. And he took them, right, and sent them over the brook, and sent over that he had, right? And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh. And the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Wherefore is it that thou askest after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel. For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. And he passed over Peniel, and the sun rose upon him, and he altered upon his thigh. So this is just trying to show you the Mosai bringing him back from him going to Laban, right? And right after this was when he met with Esau, basically. So you can tell he's actually going into where his home is, basically, right? So the Mosai did take it. He had him in Laban for 21 years, and he bring him back, and he was greater than when he went in. So that's a proof that the Mosai delivered his promise, right? So that's something we as Israel should know and to believe in the Mosai. And that's the reason why we know who Yahweh is, basically. No other God cannot do this stuff. No other God cannot make a promise to you, much less to deliver on the promise, right? So these are all things that set us apart from the other nation, basically, right?
Mhm.
So, and I guess based on that verse now, based on this verse, we see the verse, so based on verse 22, he's saying, verse 32.
33 is 33 and 22, 22.
I think I'm at 32, but I want to look at a specific verse. So Genesis 32, verse 28. Genesis 12, verse 8 and 12, verse 9. First, let me check out Genesis 12, verse 8. See what it says. Okay. So I guess in verse 28, right?
21.
No, in Genesis 32, verse 28. And so this was when the angel wrestled with Jacob, right? And we know what that means, because the angel basically, like, Jacob was trying to like supplant the angel, basically, right now, because that's what his name is. His name is Jacob, or Eli, or El older, or supplanter, right?
Mhm.
So you say Jacob held on to the angel. So he's trying to like hold him down. And the angel is like wrestling with Jacob, say, Yo, let me go. So the angel was the one wrestling with Jacob.
So get right.
But Jacob was just like holding him, right? So in that sense, he's being an Israelite, right? He's having the power. So based on God giving him the power, he was able to hold the angel down. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And the angel was really trying to get away. But when he see he couldn't get away, that's when he's like, yeah, I can do something to this guy. You know what I mean? So he actually,
Grabbing my time.
so he touched him somewhere where he's gonna feel it, right?
Yeah.
So I guess at that point, Jacob is like, man, regardless of what, you have to give me a blessing before I let you go. You know what I mean? So that's how serious Jacob was, right?
Mhm.
So it's also show you that, I guess in a sense, he believe God says he's gonna make his feet as the ends of the earth, right? Like the sands of the sea. So you know that the Most High is not gonna kill him at the end of the day, right? So he's saying, even though I already got a blessing from, or he didn't get a blessing yet from Isaac, you know what I mean? But at this specific time, Most High saying that the promise to Abraham is going to go through him. So he knows
Right.
they're not going to kill him. But at the same time, he needs a blessing to confirm that, okay, when I go and see Esau tomorrow and my brother tomorrow, he's not going to kill me now. I mean, so he's trying to confirm that by the time tomorrow I know I'm going to be alive. So what blessing are you going to give me? So tomorrow I can confirm I'm alive, right?
The promise from Abraham is that that was given.
No, that was making to Abraham, but Abraham didn't go. He gonna go to Jacob.
So the promise is what?
Go right
No.
to Jacob.
Well, he told Abraham he's going to make his seed as the son of the seed.
Oh,
That
okay.
all nations in him is going to be blessed.
Okay,
and
so they're gonna do that.
So the Most High already revealed about this to Jacob, right? But I think at this point, Jacob, I guess, was trying to get a blessing. He's trying, to me, he's still fearing Esau. So when he goes to face him tomorrow, he wants some kind of blessing or some kind of confidence to face Esau, you know what I mean?
So the blessing promises to have sons of the sons of the sea.
No,
Have
nation.
nation of the sons of the sea.
Yeah, man. So it not be enough people.
Okay.
That's all I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? So even though his sons are already born, I mean, Jacob is still trying to be like, oh man, like, regardless of what. And what happened, you know, them say. So we know at this point they changed his name from Jacob, right? So he's battling with the angel and he's like, yo, oh man, like, I'm not gonna let you go except you bless me, right? And he said unto him, what is thy name? Jacob. So he said, my name is Supplanter, right? Or my name is Heel Grabber, right? And he said, thy name shall no more be called Supplanter. You know what I mean? So now he's giving him a better name. He's saying, so now your name is Israel, right? Because I guess the power he has with Jacob, it's still significant, but he's giving him a better name, you know what I mean? Because he already told you from in the womb when he's holding his brother Esau, he did it with the power of God, right? But now he's telling him, say, yo, as a prince, thou hast power with God and with men, right? And you are prevailed. So now this is who we are as Israel are, you know what I mean? We are princes who have power with God. So when we try to act at our own accordance and leave God out of the picture, then we become like a normal person.
Right.
You know what I mean? We become like nothing. But when we are walking with God and keeping his law, and we are technically going to be princes with God, you know what I mean? One of the things we can do is limitless, you know what I mean? So that's one of the main traits of Israel. We're supposed to keep his commandments so we can actually be Israel. That is, God prevails, or the prince who has power with God. So we don't need to lose his title by transgressing his commandment or breaking his laws. But that's how you throw away that name and that title, basically. So he said, in a verse, he said, he shall slay us and call his people by a different name, right? They said he shall stop calling us Israel. And then he's going to start calling us by Jamaica and all this stuff because there's no power in those names, you know what I mean? So we don't know our rules.
So you say stop calling us Israel and call us.
Well, if we don't keep his commandment, right?
Yeah,
so he's going to slay.
We're going to be lost by names or by words.
So we don't keep his commandment, so I guess
Americans.
Those are by words or by names, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
Those are
And now more power. Yeah.
insulting names, I guess. Right?
well, that's the whole point of him changing Jacob's name to Israel. He's trying to put that spirit and that power upon us, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't walk into it, then that name doesn't mean anything to you. So he's gonna kick you out, basically, right?
Okay. Kick it to the curb.
I guess with that we can look at Genesis 35.
35.
Well, I want to look at one more thing. 29 is saying, and Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. Right? So Jacob is trying to ask him, like, what is your name? Because we know when he came to Jacob before, he told him, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, right? So Jacob should have remembered his name, but I guess the first time he appeared to him, he probably didn't realize what was going on, right? So he's still trying to confirm, yo, tell me your name. Is it the same name Abraham told me about, the same name I heard from Shem, same name I heard from Isaac? But he's asking, yo, why are you asking my name? So to me, it's like he's asking him, yo, you should know my name by now, you know what I mean? Because Abraham knew him as Yahweh, because he revealed his name to him as Yahweh, right? And he revealed it to Jacob too. But Jacob is still trying to ask him his name, and he never really tell him, but he's asking why he's asking him. And I guess he said he blessed him there. So I guess the blessing he gave him was the new name he gave him, basically, right?
This is the angel of Moses, and not the Moses himself. This is just the angel of Moses.
This one is angel of Moses.
And not the,
Yeah, man. Yeah. Well, this is the angel of Moses for sure. I don't think Moses is down there wrestling with Jacob, man. I think Moses give him, power to hold that angel down and be like, yo, show this angel so yeah, even a man can hold it down. And that's the power Jacob had it.
Yes.
So it's not like he's giving him power down to hold on the most almighty himself, you know what I mean? And what are you saying, Yannick?
I was saying, I don't think that he's
Asking
just
for his
asking
name?
for his name. I think it's deeper than that.
Yeah, I do agree. His reputation. Or name is used for reputation. It's like your fame, what you're known for, right? Who are you like? It's like, how can I know who you are? So if you had said, that's why sometimes you said, you gotta have Abraham and you gotta have Isaac so they can know who they are.
Because he was brought up knowing who he is already, so I think it may be deeper than that.
Yeah, because remember, even though he's brought up knowing who he is, he grows up around other people who have strange gods too, you know what I mean? And so he probably was like, oh man, sometimes he's away in Lebanon for so long too, who knows what gods they have there. Now when he's coming back, he's like, oh man, like just one confirmation, right? So that's why AJ was like, hey, why are you asking, man? Like, which other God is there apart from me? You should have known that, right? So I guess we can look at Genesis 35. Genesis 35 verse 1. Genesis 35.
35:1. Jacob built an altar, and he had said unto Jacob, Arise, go up to Bethel, and dwell there, and make there an altar unto Most High, that appear unto thee, when thou fleest from the face of Esau, when I fleest from the face of Esau, thy brother.
Mm-hmm.
Then Jacob said unto his household, and to all that were with him, Put away the strange gods that are among you, and be clean, and change your garment, and let us arise and go up to Bethel, and I will make there an altar unto the Most High, who answered me in the days of my distress, and was with me in which I went. And they gave unto Jacob all the strange gods which they in their hands, and all their earrings which were in their ear, and Jacob hid them under the oak which was by the Shechem. And they journeyed, and the terror of the Most High was upon the city that were round and about them. And they did not pursue after the sons of Jacob.
Okay. So I guess it's just trying to show us like what the power of God really is, right? Because that's who Israel really is. You know what I mean? Like the power of God is just, it's really meant for us to show other people who God is and how his power works. You know what I mean? Like that's our whole job in this walk. You know what I mean? So that's one of our traits. So right now he's showing us how God uses us to believe you on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess in verse 35, it's coming from the point where Dinah was actually where the Amor daughter or Amor son actually like Dinah, and they probably slept together, and then Simeon and Levi went to go kill him, right? Basically.
Yeah.
So this is from the point. So now God is talking to Jacob now, right? And he's saying, yo, arise and go up to Bethel and dwell there, you know what I mean? And make there an altar unto God that appeared unto thee when thou fleddest from Esau, thy brother, right? So he's telling him. So he's showing him who I am again, you know what I mean? So now he knows who's talking to him. So make an altar to God who appeared unto you when you flee from Esau. Because now he's trying to show him, say, because of what me ever do, like enough time when you look, even when David numbered the people, right? Obviously the angel was killing people. When he said to David, go and make an altar over this, because now he can appease the Most High. So I think he made an altar in Arnon floor or something like that, the treated floor of Arnon. Because he numbered the people, and Most High was wrath, so he was slaughtering the people. And when David was like crying, and he's like, you know what? Go over here and make an altar. And that's where the temple ended up becoming, where he made the altar, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes the Most High do certain things, like he require a peace offering or a sacrifice sometime, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now to me, it's showing me, this verse is showing me how the Most High is using them to believe on him, basically. So they just kill all these guys around him, basically, right? And he's telling them, say, yo, go up to Bethel and dwell there. You know what I mean? This is the command he's giving them. Make there an altar unto God and appear unto you And Jacob said unto his household and to all that was with him, put away the strange gods that are among you and be clean.
Mhm.
So he's telling him, yo, whatever you get of within you, put it away because that's an error. So because that's an error and that's a snare, you know what I mean? Because if there's any strange God around you, I'm not going to be there for you. You're going to get destroyed, you know what I mean? So if you want to be an Israel, if you want to live up to your Israel expectation, you put away all those strange God around you. And the people did it, right? In verse 3, and he said, let us arise and go to Bethel and we'll make an altar unto God that answered me the day of my distress. You know what I mean? So he's saying when he's at his distress, the Most High answered him. So that's a good reason to have a God who can actually come to your help when you need him, right?
Mhm.
And they gave unto Jacob all the strange gods which were in their hand and all their earrings, right?
So what they're saying, even by way of errands and stuff like that, so like each have an as far as God.
Yeah. I would guess in this instance to me,
Mhm.
like there's probably certain
Ornament.
probably like certain things they do
Yeah.
to like worship certain gods, so they might put certain earrings or certain ornament in their ear, right?
Mhm.
Like culture of certain people.
Right.
So I wouldn't say it's a regular earring that's just serving a god, but maybe it's
No, because Ezekiel 37 says most of them put earrings in your ears.
So I think it's just if you do certain thing, a certain tradition with certain people, they might be doing it for the wrong reason. So it's like you break those traditions off, you know what I mean? Same like when they returned from Egypt. They took with all the earring too, right? But eventually if you are serving the Most High right, they having an earring, should be okay, you know what I mean? You'll be serving the Most High clean.
Right.
But I think they were carrying strange gods with them, you know what I mean? So the Most High was like, you get them out of here, basically. So he hid them under an oak. I mean, and verse 5 is saying, now when they journeyed, the terror of God was upon the cities that were round about them, and did not persecute after the sons of Jacob.
Mhm.
So then that's really a good thing to be called an Israelite for sure, you know what I mean? Because the Most High will definitely fight your battle for you.
Mhm.
But that might be physically, he's killing them, or it might be he just calling them to your thing that doesn't exist.
Mhm.
But when you keep his commandment, you know what I mean, when you actually follow the traits of an Israel, all these fall under your name as a prince that was poor with God because there's no limitation to what we can do. You know what I mean? So that's where we have to always try to go back to or to regain, basically, right? Remember, the other nations them doesn't really have this because the prerequisite are these gifts to them, right? So they don't really care whether or not we go there, you know what I mean? Because it's really a negative for them if we rise up, you know what I mean? But I guess if we're all on the same page, they see more that everything's level headed. So our goal is to always try and elevate ourselves above everybody else. And that's by keeping the Most High commandment because that's where we're supposed to be, basically.
We're supposed to lead by example, let's say. We're supposed to lead by example. Set the standards for the nations.
Yeah, we're supposed to, definitely. We're supposed to be the example,
Yeah.
and then they should live by our example.
Yeah,
basically,
not just
right?
like run, follow them and walk in the ways.
So, and I guess we can get somebody to show who we are. I guess I'm going to look at Genesis 37. Genesis 37. It's going to read from 4 to 11.
4 to 11.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at the beginning of the scripture, right? The book, or Israel should really be walked so we can maintain our name. That's why I'm mostly stuck in Genesis, right?
And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all the brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. And Joseph dreamed of a dream, and he took it, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet more. And he said unto them, hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were being shaped in the field, and lo, my shaft arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your servant stood round about, and they made obscenes unto my shaft.
Mm-hmm.
8. And his brethren said unto him, shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? and they hated him yet more. And his dream for his work, and he dreamed yet another dream, and told it his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obedience to me. And he told it to his brother and his brethren, and the father rebuked him and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and my mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying.
Mhm. So, okay. So I'm not sure why he says the sun and the moon and the stars. I know that
Now, because the sun and the moon, they count as each parent, mother and father,
I know, but
and 11 stars.
because the reason why I'm saying, because we know that his mother died. Rachel is Joseph's mother, right?
But was she dead? But was she dead already by then?
But
She was dead.
yeah, man, because she died right as Benjamin was born.
Yeah.
Remember, she died when Benjamin was born,
Yeah, but
and this is when Joseph was being kidnapped. So Benjamin was only living in the land after his mother died.
right.
So Joseph was around 17 years old when they kidnapped him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but what I was saying here,
Mhm.
Abraham, Jacob is asking him, you're saying that your mother and I
Mhm.
and your 11 virgin will born unto you. So she must have been alive at the time. Why would we say that then?
Well, it's a dream, so it could be property.
It's all a dream, so it's not real.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
yeah,
what I'm saying.
and that's future.
Because we can see that Jacob never really bowed down to him. We know his brothers did it,
Right.
but Jacob never really bowed down to him, right? Because he knew he was his son, and he came to him.
Right.
In a sense, as if he bowed down to him because he wanted to get the crops or the seeds from Egypt. So he said, "Okay, go and get it." In a sense, but we never really came on.
Then it comes. So then both it's a dream. So he did it. But this is what he saw in the future. But not actually his mother and father born, but
But it's understanding.
yes.
So he's just trying to show you like who is Israel, right? So we know Israel always comes with prophecy and dream, something that's not, I guess, normal, right? So Joseph, so we know that out of all the son then, Joseph was the first one the Most High came and he showed him spiritual awakening, right?
Mhm.
So and we can see that he gives him a dream and the brothers then understand the dream, now because when they see they're like, yeah, are you saying we're gonna bow down to you? Know what I mean? So right now what do they try to do? They try to supplant him, right? They try to overthrow him, basically. They try to say, yo, man. So they're actually being Jacob now. You know what I mean? He's coming as Israel, because he's coming with the Most High. I guess they never know, but he's coming with the Most High blessing and the Most High power, and he's showing what's going to happen. And they're like, yo, man, I'm not trying to get you a position that that's the case. Yeah.
Crazy boy, man.
So they were trying to supplant him. I guess in my thing, I were trying to like usurp him, basically, right? But he's just showing you how the Most High works, right? So he showed them the dream and they knew what it means, know what I mean? And he said, you know, you shall reign over us. Know what I mean? Shall thou indeed have dominion over us? And they're saying what he dreamed, even more dream, right? And he's talking about the sun and the moon. So now he's talking about the same thing in a different dream again. So they're like, man, do something with his brother, bro, man, because he's the youngest one and he's saying he's going to rule over all of us. Know what I mean? So they were having that. So they were trying to, I guess, supplant him. So they were being Jacob, who Jacob was in before his name changed. Like when he grew up with Esau, right? He was always trying to, like, I guess he had power to supplant, know what I mean? But he wasn't, I guess, doing it the way that's right, know what I mean? So he was doing it in his own power. So they were trying to do stuff in their own power, know what I mean? So the Most High, the Most High preserved him, sent him to Egypt. Obviously, all the Most High spirit was upon him, right? So he was actually in Egypt, but he was actually being an Israelite. And he was still keeping the laws. He wasn't trouble Pharaoh's wife. Know what I mean? And the Most High blessed him. Know what I mean? So all the downfall they put on him, the Most High turned everything around and raised him up, right? So that's the spirit Israel should possess. I mean, even though they are keeping it down, where it might be your brother, where it might be the enemy, you have to
Right.
just keep your focus on the Most High and always try to serve Him in the best way you know you should, and
Mhm.
not what somebody might reference in or what somebody might be thinking, right? So,
Mhm.
so Joseph kept his ways and he kept his saying, whatever he learned from his forefather, he believed in it. And he said, the Most High will guide me. So he put his faith in the Most High.
Mhm.
So no wickedness in your heart, nothing, you know, to look at wickedness in your heart or resentment to your brother.
Got to be upright.
Sure, man. But if you, even if one of anybody have a weakness in your heart, you are damage yourself for that wickedness now, you see it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you shouldn't, we can't use wicked to fight wicked.
Yeah.
And really, it's like you're saying if the devil divided in his own kingdom, it's going to fall. So if you're saying you're good, but you have to wicked in your heart, you're dividing yourself
That's,
in one kingdom too, right?
That's like being a hypocrite too. Like you care that.
Yeah, in most sense, yes. So I guess he's showing you how Joseph actually got the blessing and he's actually living the life whereas Israel should be living, I mean, should be upholding. It should be our everyday lifestyle. Maybe all of we won't be dreamers and won't be getting deep, or we should be living where we can see a brother and be like, hey, I know you're a prophet, or I know you can do dream, I mean, so I can talk to you and get knowledge from you, right? As opposed to know we're all just dumb. So we're not in that Israel spirit, we're not up to the stage where we should be, basically, right?
You're happy for them.
Exactly.
You're happy for them.
Yeah, scripture said, oh, sweet is he that bring good news, right? So if you walk around and you give good news, then that's a glorious thing for anybody at all. So I guess I was trying to look at next one too, was Genesis 38 verse 29.
30, 29?
Yeah, 38 verse 29.
Okay. So in Genesis 38, 29. And it came to pass as he drew back his hand, that behold, his brother came out. And this she said, how hast thou broken forth? This is a breach be upon thee. Therefore, his name was called Azarias.
Alright. I guess I was just trying to pull this up so we can just show like some of the next thing that happened in Israel, right? So I guess nobody never seen this happening before, right? So when they are probably seeing this happen in their life, you're like, something is going on, man. Like there must be some powers at work, you know what I mean? So this is all ways in which the Most High use so you can keep us to keep believing in him. He doesn't just leave you dry, right? So you always do things that doesn't really be the norm of society, you know what I mean? So when you see that, be like, oh man, this is real life. So now you can
say about Esau name, same as Esau Perez, same as Esau.
Same like when then Esau, Esau and Jacob.
Same as Esau.
Same like Esau and Jacob, right? 29. Well, I guess they were both twins like Esau and Jacob, if that's what you mean. They were both twins, but I guess Esau was trying to hold back, Jacob was trying to hold back Esau, right? But now with Perez, the baby was coming out first. The actual baby, other one came out first instead. So he actually did supplant the baby, basically, right? So like Jacob was trying to like supplant Esau, but Esau still came out. But with this baby, the other one came out.
Which baby is this? We're talking same. Whose baby was this?
Because this was Tamar baby.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
I know that Tamar had a twin. She had Zara and she had Fares. But Zara was coming out first.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? But then the other baby, I would say he supplanted him and he came out first.
So,
and we know that Fares is the one whom the line came from.
So what's the symbolism of that one there where what's coming out?
David.
So David came from this line, Fares. So David came from Fares' line, basically.
The symbolism there, what is that similar to what Esau and Jacob did?
So the thing that I'm trying to show is how the Most High, he do similar things sometimes, right? So you can have understanding. So the thing with Esau, you know that the baby was in the bed fighting.
Okay.
And then Esau was holding on to one heel, but in this, we see how one baby was coming out first.
Right.
And how the other baby came out first before the other one, right?
Right.
So
you see the same thing again with this the one you mentioned a while ago with this where they're repeating again. The same thing.
I'm just trying to show certain traits that's happened to Israel now. So that's a certain trait that we see happening in Israel. We see the Most High interacting with us in I guess, not spiritual, but like, not magical either,
Yeah.
but in way that miraculous way. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'm just trying to show how it's in our nature to supplant. You know what I mean? Because to me, this baby supplanted the other one, and the other one came out, and he took the lead as opposed to the one who remained.
Him holding on to the heel was a supplant, was holding on to the heel.
Well, I guess in that case, Jacob wanted to Esau heel, so Jacob was trying to supplant
Yeah.
Esau by coming out first.
Mhm.
But in this state, in Phares, we can see where Phares did came out first instead of Zara, even though Zara was coming out first. So
Right.
it means he was actually,
At the end of the day, it looks like it was Jacob was holding back Esau, almost like trying to maybe get by him or get hold him back.
so he's trying to
That's
supplant
interesting.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so,
interesting. So that you're probably sitting day to day with us and out in the world with us with Esau out in the world sometimes. You probably see that in, in different activities and stuff like that.
mhm.
Maybe you see it out there sometimes.
So I was just trying to show that that's something that's not normal, basically. You know what I mean? So with being in Israel, certain things that happen to other nation them, when it happen to you, it's not going to be the same because they have no God to do this thing to them, you know what I mean?
Right.
So when we see this, we should know that there is a God, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's who our power is, basically.
Because we have a God. This is where we have a God.
Yeah, definitely have a God,
Nations,
you know what I mean? So when I probably start reading 39 then.
39 what?
Genesis 39,
Just 39,
verse 9.
and verse 9.
Genesis 31.
There is none greater than this house, than I, neither and he kept back anything from me. But thee because thou art his wife, and then can I do this great wickedness and sin against the Most High. And it came to pass, as she spake unto Joseph, day by day, that he hearkened and not unto her, to lie by her, or to be with her.
Okay, and this is Married 40, verse 8. But I guess I'm just trying to show now, even in that one, 39, verse 9, as regards to who is Israel and the traits befitting of Israel, it's showing you that it started from basically verse 7, and it's saying 37, 39, verse 7, and it came to pass that these things, after these things, that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, right? And she said, lie with me. But he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house, and he had commanded all that he had to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. How can I do this great wickedness and sin against God, right? So this is also a trait we as an Israelite should possess, right?
Right.
We can see where, even though the woman is putting himself on him, and he's like, okay, then, like, man, and she's a queen, I mean, so it's not like she's a regular woman. You know, some guy will probably, some guy will probably give in and say, oh man, even if it's the queen, then, man, nobody won't know, right? But then, he, being a true Israelite, right, and actually trying to keep the Most High, know the Most High, command the Most High law, he's saying, I'm going to be separate, I'm not going to do that, you know what I mean?
Temptation wasn't going to give a temptation.
Well, he's a man, maybe there's a temptation, but he knows not to do it. Now, I mean, he's like, yo, you're the man wife. I cannot do that, right? So either way, he's being an Israelite and he's keeping the law and his fear is Elohim. So he's saying, I cannot do something against God.
Okay.
So if we other Israelites all take these roads and these steps and not sin against God.
Isn't Eliezer the same way where he would eat pork? Eliezer did the same thing. Similar kind of example.
Eliezer.
Yeah, he would eat pork also. He was one of those. It's an example.
Well, I'm not sure which book that is.
It's in the same one. Same.
Eliezer is in the Bible to eat pork?
Yeah, he didn't eat
I don't know what then.
He didn't eat pork.
Yeah, I'm not.
Oh.
Eliezer was that was the example for the pork.
Well, that's true for sure. If you say not to eat swine, then if you don't eat swine, and that's all the law was reliant on, then you're gonna be an Israelite because you're keeping the law, right? So you have to always keep the most law,
Temptation.
so you can show that you're an Israelite basically. Because if you're not keeping it, then that name is upon you for no reason, right?
Exactly.
So you have to live up to the name. So Jacob, even though he was sold and he was discarded by his family, I mean, he still remember his ways. I mean, they still remember his laws. I mean, and he
Yeah.
was still keeping it even while he was in Pharaoh's house. I mean,
Yeah.
so the Most High put his blessing upon him favor because that's all Israel is. We keep the Most High law and he will bless us. That's it. So we see where Joseph was in the pen. He refused not to. Then the woman caused him to go into the jail. And then in verse 40, verse 8, we see where one of them dream a dream, right? And Joseph gave them the interpretation, right? And the dream come to pass. So that's also showing you the spirit of the Israelite them. The dream come true and they get interpretation and it comes to pass. Not anybody can actually do this stuff. So you see where Israel have been able to more and more time actually get these dream correct, right? So that's a trait of Israel. Now, when the Most High is upon you, not only interpretation belonging to him, but he also, because you are Israel and you have power with God, interpretation also, I guess, belongs to you, right? Because that's how you get it and to get it from. God and you more or less the same person. So we see where when he dreamed, he said those interpretation belong to God, right? And then we see where God shows it to Joseph, and Joseph related to the guy, and it came to pass. And then in verse 41, again in verse 41, we see where the same spirit of reading an Israelite, right? Basically, the Most High power and his blessing is always upon us. That's how we know we're an Israelite, right? Because I guess the moment it departs from you, it means that you're in some error or you're not living up to your name, basically. So all this time, nowhere it says Joseph failed through all this captivity, through all these trouble. He always keep the law on the Most High, always bring him back to being on top.
Give me an example of trouble. Would trouble be sickness and things like that? Would be an example of trouble? Would you use that like that?
Well, yeah, well, trouble, sickness can be a trouble too, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
if you're in a situation that's probably that's a mind that you're.
I guess anything. Once you break the law,
Yeah.
and anything that makes you uneasy,
Yeah.
to come against you, right? So
Yeah.
if you cherish something, that might be your trouble. Or next person, might be what they cherish, so
Yeah.
you won't affect them as much.
Right.
What I mean?
Because I know we're supposed to know by the curses, though. Like you can always say we have a history of the curses, like where certain things we will match Israel with.
Yeah, well, there's two ways to know Israel. I mean, you can know them by the curse, or you can know them by the blessing, right?
Right. Okay.
So knowing them by the blessing,
Yeah.
that's the Israel we are trying to work towards.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Israel we are trying to be.
Okay.
And that's why the main goal to get there is to follow his word and to keep whatever he commands, right?
Mm.
So we can see a lot of people actually achieve this. You know what I mean? But I guess at this time they had direct and they had more person who actually had direct contact with certain power or certain works that the Most High done. So they have first hand communication with some of these people. So it's easier for them to believe, you know what I mean? What's coming down through time, we see where those times become more space. And a lot of people are believing based on the faith of what they hear. Which nothing is wrong with them believing on the faith, but I guess when the Most High keeps showing them his work, they believe more. So that's why all this stuff we have seen with the babies and pulling them back, that's the Most High showing them work. So you shouldn't say, I'm not far from you, you know what I mean? Whatever is going on, I'm still close by you. So anything you are doing, I'm gonna see. So you don't want to run me away, you have to do stuff that's pleasing to me. So in our walk, we have to be always clean, always 100% walking to his way and to his law. You know what I mean? So we can live up to the name he bestowed upon us, basically, right? Where was that?
Yeah, 48. That's what you did. Yeah, 40.
Well, like I said, I want to look who is Israel against, right? So I'm going to look at Exodus 4, verse 22, just a different idea of who is Israel. Mhm.
Exodus 4:22. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, just say Most High, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And I say unto thee, let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn.
Okay, so we're still just trying to show like who is Israel, right? And the
Yes.
trait be speaking about Israel. So I'm still trying to look at Israel is the Most High son, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's what the Most High says, because he's based on Genesis 9, Exodus 19:5-6, he says he chose us to be a peculiar people above all people, right?
Mhm.
And by that he give us the laws and he give us the commandment to keep. So that is what helps us apart to be a peculiar people, right? And we are his son. So as his son, we are expected to do his will, you know what I mean? As he as our father, he has an expectation and he expects us to fulfill it so we can make his name better and make his name greater, right? So we can give glory to his name. So as a part of who we are, we're supposed to do the deeds that's befitting to him and beneficial to him, right? And Deuteronomy 14:1 is saying we are the children of the hour, right here, God. So he's saying we shall not cut ourselves, nor make baldness between our eyes for the dead. That's also showing that he's saying that we are the children of the hour. So we are his son, we are his children, and he's sending Pharaoh to let us go that we may serve him. So that's one more thing we are supposed to do. We are his son and we are also supposed to serve him.
Mhm.
That's why he only tell us he took us out of Egypt. We were his son before Egypt, and he had us there, and he came and redeemed us. So he has even more right to us again. He's trying to say, right? So all he's telling us to do is just serve him and keep his law. You know what I mean? And I guess Jeremiah is saying the same thing too, right? He's saying, they shall come with weeping and with supplication. Will I lead them? I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am the father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn, right? So he's still trying to say the same thing throughout all the Bible, that Israel is his son, and as his son, we are required to do the things that he likes, to do the things that will give us life, basically, right? Because that's who we are. We are Israel as a principle of power with God. So life should come naturally to us because God is the giver of life. So with we keeping the law, we can actually maintain who Israel is. We can actually maintain being the son of the Most High. We can also live up. We can show the world what it's like to be an Israel when they see the works of the Most High working in us, basically, right? And know the Most High works in diverse ways, not like one particular way. So we have to just keep ourselves clean so he can actually come in and reside, so he can show his fruits, so other people can see, so other people can know how to keep his law, so other people can know how glorious his law is, right? So other people can know how to not depart from his way. But the main thing as Israel is supposed to go and come back to the foundation of what the Most High set up for us from the beginning, basically, where we strayed from. So I guess for the most part, we're gonna probably end it here for today.
Okay.
So it's just a couple of verses from Genesis just to show who Israel is and the traits we as Israel should be performing. Whether we should be keeping law so the Most High can rest on us, or while the Most High is resting on us, the work that he's doing, all of those are inclusive, I mean, in our traits basically.
And also, after speaking about nation, I would expect, Esau is a man of skill and hunting. That's his main trait. And we see how aggressive they be in the field, and you see how much what they do in a kind of person they are, different from what Jacob really is. Jacob is a simple man, a very simple person, probably just want to read. And just like how Martha's rather be a cook, she want to be listening to the Father's word. And they were saying, oh, she's lazy and da. But that's her trait. She want to humble and listen to the word. They didn't understand that. And the same with Jacob and Esau. Esau's a man who aggressive, I don't know how to kill. Kill out a bear.
Yeah.
I eat him heart and say, you know, poor man.
It's all to do with things in the
Yes, sir.
I like how you mentioned to us it was given like to prophecy and understandings,
Mm-hmm.
and like that's a trait that we have,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
is how we are able to discern prophecies from the Most High. I just want to add a verse in Amos chapter 2 and 11. It says, "I raised up your sons for prophets, and of your young men for Nazarites. Is it not even thus, O ye children of Israel, saith the Lord?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those things are really, that's who Israel are. Now, I mean, like, everything was given to us basically. When the Moses separated us from the nation, then he's like, oh man, the road is in your hand now. I mean, so you're the middleman between me and heaven and these people on earth, right? So, so that we fall from our position. So once we start, like you're saying, raise up back to that position, we're going to be Nazarites again and keeping the law and
Right.
being Israelites, and we're
Right.
showing who we really are.
Amos again, Amos.
Amos 2:11.
It show you that with a specific people that he really said. I was talking to my daughter today and I was saying, she said, "I'm Christian." I say, "You're not Christian."
Mm-hmm.
I say, "You still sit in that place where they come in sword and cross and tell me you're here for Jesus and they cut off your head." I said, you might not know that you're an Israelite. You're an Israelite, you're straight, and you have learned the way of Christian people. And I said, you can't talk about it. Because I said, I said, "I'm not an Hebrew." I said, "You are Hebrew Israelite. You are my seed. And you can't tell me you're Christian. Christianity it's nothing you think that's what you are, because what they taught you. That's what they taught for years.
See, but in Christianity, it's a choice. You know what I mean?
It's a choice.
I want to be a Christian, it's a choice. It's not like it's not who you are.
Because
choose to be a Christian.
Yeah, this
You are
is
choose to be
force.
something. Mm-hmm.
This was forced on people back in the old days who didn't know anything. They just forcing you.
But how do you be a Christian? You say, how do you be a Christian? You don't born a Christian.
No, they can't back then. But you know, she went to Andrews and she's trained to be a pastor. So I guess you still believe that I said you have to read the Bible for yourself, even though you're a pastor.
So for sure,
You
she's a
need to
pastor.
read. You need to read. Yes, I see.
Your pastor gonna be hard to talk her out,
Yeah.
brother.
But she tell me that she not.
No, your daughter was a pastor.
Yeah, she not going to church because I said, "You not go to church."